Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss a spirits business article that notes agave spirits passed American whiskey as the number 2 most purchased spirit in the U.S., just behind vodka. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Evan Van Scoik, Lori Mangum, and Demetri Kane.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Hey.
Hey, ho. So we're going to be talking about tequila being the number 2 distilled spirit in the United States now, behind vodka, passing whiskey. So that's an interesting one. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Evan said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, Evan?
Yeah, Steve made a comment earlier that got me thinking about this idea that something you would give up. And if you gave that thing up, you would now have just a ton of free time that you could devote to whatever it is. Well, what is something that you could give up right now? And if you gave that up, you now have a ton of free time. Okay.
I have an answer here because I was doing events, these online events every night. And if I'm not doing the events, I'm podcasting. So, and literally that's been my life for years. And now that I've got the shop, it's even more so because I work at the shop all day. I get off. I have to leave early because we close at 8, but I podcast before, so I have to leave, work a little bit early. And I come home and I usually, if I get something to eat, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then I go in and then I do an event. And, I'm not doing them anymore. So now what am I going to do with that time? So you get to see a real version of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back my life. I'm going to have a real life at some point now. I'm going to go out to dinner with my wife. I'm going to go out to dinner with my kid and my mom. I haven't done this for years. They do things without me. They have a weekly dinner night where they go out. I haven't got to go on that in years because I'm doing something every night and I'm not going to have to do that anymore. So it's going to be kind of cool. Now I'm still going to be working the shop and the days that I'm scheduled to be there, I'll just be there. But I've got Mondays and Tuesdays. I got nothing on, and for the most part, I'm going to try to just do things with the family. So that's it. I'm going to be more family time. Yeah.
That's good.
Nice.
It's a good use of your time. Anytime you can spend more time with your family, it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you guys? What would you do if you suddenly find yourself, you have to think of something you could eliminate that would give you time, and then what would you do with that time? And what led to the conversation was I was like, years before I quit watching sports, and that I was so into it. Fantasy leagues, watching the sports, talking about the sports, going to the games, and I don't do any of that stuff anymore. And it helped me launch the business and all that kind of stuff. It was another one of those moments where suddenly I had a bunch of time and I dedicated it to other things. So yeah, it's been cool. McNew, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Mine's not that great, but if I could hire someone to come sweep the dog hair out of my house every day, that would save me a ton of time. The amount of time I sit our couches and sweep these floors is insane.
Are you ever amazed at how much you sweep up? Because I don't have a pet. I used to have a cat. And when you would sweep, it would be amazing. It's like you could put together almost a kitten. You got one cat, and we had hardwood floors, so this stuff starts piling up, and it gathers around together, and it kind of rolls, and
you get like little husky tumbleweeds. They're little tumbleweeds, and like if I miss a day, it's horrendous. It's almost a daily thing that I have to like.
It's really gross.
So much time would be saved.
What do you think, Lori? What could you do if you suddenly had more time?
I have to answer in general because I'm trying to think of something that I could actually give up, like checking email or things that are taking it forever at work. But I can't give that up. So if I could, I would have more time for like creating. I would have more time for art. I would have more time to paint and to.
So you're a creative person. You paint. What if you would paint something? What does it look like? Is it realism? Is it what would say your style is?
I can do that, but I don't really enjoy that. I more enjoy don't make fun of me, but I like painting a feeling, if that makes sense, like colors and things that reflect a mood, a moment.
Okay, so there's a canvas, and on there it's just blue, and it's like, it was a blue day today.
No, it's more than that.
That's it.
There's chaos in it.
It's just a swash of blue.
No,
and she's
it's
like, look at that. I've created this
splashing.
artwork for you that captured my mood that day, Steve.
You're ridiculous.
That's wonderful, Lori. I'll hang that in the shop,
You're
and then it'll be in the bathroom behind the curtain where we got there.
You're killing me. I'm going to paint you something real nice just because you said
just to teach me a lesson. Okay, fair enough. All right, Demetri, you're a guy who could definitely use. So there's a lot of things that you do now. You could never eliminate any of these. I get that. You got a farm, that's going to take a lot of your time. You got kids, that and a family, that takes a lot of time. You got a business, that takes a lot of time. I don't even know how you find enough time to do what you're doing. But if suddenly something went away, someone's like, you know what, Demetri, I'll take care of all the farm stuff. This will give. I don't know. What would you do if you suddenly had a bunch of time? What would you do?
So kind of similar to you, Steve, where it's like you stop doing sports and you stop doing different things years ago. And that's kind of what gave you the ability to start different things.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of where about 7 years ago, that's where I cut out all technology. So I don't have any internet at the house. I leave my phone at work.
You don't even realize how much time you burn on all that shit.
It's
true.
Just scroll for hours.
Yeah.
It's absurd. And so I cut out a lot of those things like years ago. And the other thing that I just started doing about 3 years ago is I split my day into 3 days. So I have 3 6-hour days. So I run from 6 a.m. to noon, take an hour break, eat lunch, like go do something that's, mindless. And, I usually go over my kids' school and play with them right around lunchtime. And then they go back to class. I come back to work and I work from noon to 6, get off at 6, go home, do chores, take care of family stuff until about 7:30. And then I come back and work until about 11. And so it's nice because I typically get 3 days. So even like later in the week, if I say, hey, I want to take the afternoon off, I've already gotten so far ahead with having intense bouts of focus. And I accomplish a lot in each day that I can say, hey, I'm going to take the evening off this night. And I don't feel like I'm losing anything because I've already
that statement
2 days work. So.
When you're a person who does a lot,
good.
I always have a large workload of shit I'm doing, but there's those intense focus moments where you can tick off a lot of stuff. And there's times when because unlike Demetrius, who I feel like is just working all the time, there's times when I'm just a lazy ass and I'm like, I can't even motivate myself to do anything, even though I have a million things to do. But then there's those other times when you're just like, boom, you're on point. You're like, you have a list and you're just knocking one thing off after the other. I get that. Moments of intense focus. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a neurologist, his name's Dr. Huberman, and I've listened to him a lot. He's a super brilliant guy. And one of the things he says, you can't, like, your brain cannot focus more than 90 minutes. Like, so it's like you have to focus for 90 minutes. And after that, you start losing focus and your cognitive relay starts slowing down. And he's like, you can only have 3 bouts of those in a very productive day. So if you got the perfect amount of sleep, if you have the perfect nutrition, everything's balanced. You can only have a maximum of 3 in a day.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that, it's like very seldom are we 100% perfect. So
Right.
I try to limit it to 2 bouts of very intense focus. And then the rest of the time, it's like, I'm just going to go, bottle. I'm going to go try
Yeah.
barrels. I'm going to just, do that stuff that doesn't require that.
Yeah.
And it helps a lot for me, at least.
Well, I usually, during those unfocused times, I pull up YouTube and watch videos of police officers getting pulled over and how they react when they get pulled over. I don't know. There's shit I watch. I don't know. It's like, this is a good video idea. And then I go on YouTube. I don't even watch TV. I watch YouTube. That's what I watch all the time. I don't know. Yeah. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah. So just a little commentary before I give you my answer. Demetri, makes sense. You should probably also consider giving up bear knife fighting. That probably takes up a little bit of your time. That might be one of those whole day, 6-hour days you got there that you're just training for bear knife fighting. Maybe come back
I'm ready
on
to join them. Lenny made me a bear knife. So I've got one. It's not as good as Demetri's, but I feel like I can hold my own out there with it. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I think I can definitely relate to the focus part there with the hour and a half, 90 minutes. And I'm sure McNew's also encounter this doing corporate trainings is when you have to do those like all day events, you're locking somebody up for like 4-6 hours consecutive and you're trying to train them all day.
Yeah.
And that's tough. You've got to work in as many breaks as possible, fun, hands-on activities to break that exactly up. So it's nice to see those things. That's a real life thing. Like you see it in like corporate worlds, but this is things everybody encounters, no matter whether you're doing distilling or creating podcasts, running a barrel shop, whatever it might be, that you also have to find the balance and make sure you're focusing on things right. Which segue to mine is I've got 2 things I'm considering as like, what would I give up? I probably won't give up either of these things, but one of them's line dancing. So not only do I, as a dancer, I go dancing maybe once or twice a week, and that's like, 4 or 5 hours of dancing. And not only then am I a choreographer, so I'm creating dancing. So anytime I'm hearing music, I'm also like creating in my head. I'll spend, a few hours a week. I usually create like one every like month or two. And I could be working on 2 or 3 at any given point. And then I also run Line Dance St. Louis Facebook group where I help share and promote events of all of the dancing events in our area. So it's like, not only because I'm doing that one thing, it's like, well, I went all in on the thing, right? It's like when you get in a whiskey society, not only do you want to be a member of it, but now you want to start going to the events. You want to start having meet and greets. You want to start doing tasting. You want to start buying. Like it compiles. And that one thing, that one hobby kind of becomes like, now it's so much bigger. It's a part of your life. And then the other easier thing I could probably cut out is, man, I love watching TV. Love watching shows. Oh, it's so good. I have an app on my phone to track all the episodes and shows up. Just love watching TV so much. I mean, we just live in a golden age of content, guys. Like it's.
So what do you do if you eliminate one of these things?
If I eliminate them,
what can you do?
Well, I could go to the ABV Barrel Shop more and hang out. That would be something great.
Maybe get your place back. Yeah,
I could regain my number 1 customer status.
Yeah.
I could take Scotty on longer walks. I could probably maybe I don't know, use the home gym I have in my garage that I purchased all the equipment for and never get around to using. There's so much more I could do. It's just like I've got the really intense one where I do a lot of line dancing and I'm heavily invested. I do the same thing with the whiskey societies. But then I use TV and stuff as an escape. Is that's my mindless thing is right. I love watching and having my mind kind of engaged in these different stories.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to give up those types of things.
It's hard to give up things. Yeah.
But yeah, you'd be able to spend more time with family. Is eventually we want to start a family, and that's going to be something that you're going to have to
something
consider.
they have to give at some point.
Something we'll have to give.
You know, you start getting a couple kids, and then you get involved in their schedule, and you want to be there for them. You know, you can't be like, well, 3 nights this week I'm out dancing. That goes away. You can't. You gotta kind of, you know. So that's just part of having a family.
Yeah,
So,
I gave up slow pitch softball. I've given up cornhole league.
yeah.
So I've already cut back some things, and eventually you have to stop going out every weeknight and spend it with your family.
Yeah. So you've got that in your horizon probably at some point, but we'll see. All right. For right now, we're going to drink though. What is everyone drinking? We know McNew's out of this thing, so she's not a factor. We're going to start with Demetri. What do you got there, buddy?
So in honor of the show notes tonight, I actually have a tequila.
Oh, tequila. Okay.
Oh.
So I thought that I would, bring one in. So so I have a El Trago Extra Anejo. So I probably butchered that, but we're gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
So.
See what you got there. Okay, that's good. That was good. Could be good enough. We'll see. All right. Up next is Lori. Lori, what do you got?
I am drinking a little bit of Jephthah Creed, some of that bloody butcher corn.
Okay. Ooh. Evan, who has the lead right now? That was close. That was close.
It definitely sounded like Lori had a little bit more bass, a little bit more sound there.
Okay.
Demetri's was real cute. It was like a little boop.
Okay. So Lori has the lead right now. Evan, you're next. What do you got?
All right. I've got Steve's favorite, Barrel Seagrass.
That is good stuff.
I was like, on a tequila show, I'll go something weird. But it's great.
It is great. Yes. Ooh. McNew, who has the lead now? Lori or
I think Evan kind of surpassed Lori there.
Evan has the lead.
Agreed.
All right. It's between me and Evan. I've got Weller Antique here. Weller Antique. Let's see what we got. No, not even close there. Evan, you win, my friend. No.
I could reclaim something. Maybe not the top spot, but
Oh, cheers.
King of the corks tonight.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact tequila now sits in second place in terms of distilled spirits popularity in the United States and past whiskey. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is BR 549, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about how tequila surpassed whiskey as the number 2 most purchased spirit.
Yes, we are. So whiskey fans are so wrapped up into whiskey, the show is probably confusing to them. They're like, wait a minute. Whiskey was number 1. Now you're saying it's number 3. No, whiskey was actually behind vodka. Vodka it's involved in so many cocktails and stuff like that. It's always been a bigger spirit. We you listen to Fred Minnick and vodka sucks, and everybody who drinks whiskey says vodka sucks and all that. But at the same time, and we've seen vodka take a big tailspin too. Let's not forget, vodka was a huge thing not that long ago, and then they got into all the flavored vodkas, and there was kind of a bursting of the bubble. But still, it's still a very popular drink to utilize in cocktails. So it remains at the top. And whiskey was number 2. Now it's been passed by tequila. Why do we think that is? McNew, you said there may be a theory here. Maybe there's something to this. I was like, it can't be right, and then McNew was like, no, you're wrong, Steve. And here's why. What do you got?
Wrong, but
you're like, Steve, you're wrong. Quit your jackassery.
Sorry.
Trend among younger people, like in their 20s, where they're more health conscious than we ever were, and they're like, oh, I don't feel bad the next day if I do like a tequila soda, and it's healthier. Like vodka's mixed with a lot of sugary stuff. That generation does not do sugar. They're afraid of it. So I think tequila, they think is being healthy. And when you're young like that, like you're like, oh, I stay away from brown stuff because you're scared about it. You don't know about whiskey yet. So I think it's the health conscious younger generation that are just coming into drinking.
All right. I initially was saying, no way, it's all because of the margarita. The margarita just continues to get more and more popular. A tequila drink. And that probably plays, even with what McNew's saying, the growth of margarita still is going to play into it. It could be a factor that encompasses multiple things. And certainly the margarita is a very popular cocktail, and that certainly helps tequila out a lot. Like if tomorrow, like there's no more margaritas, then tequila would probably tumble pretty far down the list, even with the health.
I love a margarita too. Like if I tell
I do too. I gotta admit, if it's summertime, I like a good margarita. Yeah. Especially if you're at your favorite Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
It's nice. You bring out the chips and salsa and get the margarita. Whoo, that's living right there. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow. What are you thinking, Evan?
Yeah, so kind of along the lines of what McNew is thinking, combined with yours, Steve, is that those health conscious younger folks who are primarily getting vodka drinks, purchasing vodka, but when they're like out at a club, you're out like at a bar, you're probably not going to get a vodka shot, and you're probably not going to get like a whiskey cocktail or something like that. You're probably not getting whiskey neat. What are you probably doing, like with you and 5-6 friends? You're probably going to be like, give me a line of tequila shots, and then you're probably going to take like some salt or some limes and stuff, and you've got like that deconstructed tequila shot that's going to give you a similar vibe to the margarita, right? But now you're selling multiple all the time. Like it's more of the shot option. That's very easy.
It does feel like you think like old cowboy movies and stuff like that, like our dads used to watch. In those movies, the cowboy would go to the bar and they were given, whiskey to drink, and that's what and they'd shoot it, and then you see TV shows always show. But today, if you think about if someone is doing a shooter, and I don't do that, I don't go to the bar and get a shooter. I'm too old for that. But if you do, it does seem like tequila is the option that most people are going to go for. It's you see someone lining up shots, it does seem like it's tequila shots, and they're doing the thing with the lime and all that.
A place like Miami, a nightclub, like hundreds of people, hundreds of shots a night, and they're probably tequila.
Yeah.
To interject in a different direction on this.
Okay. Yeah. That's what you got.
I think that I think that you can look at it from a couple different angles. I think one of them is, maybe the culture of drinking is different it's changed from doing vodka shots to tequila. And I think that makes up a small margin of it. That could be partially, I think that the margaritas, are fantastic. But I think also it's like when you couple in all of these celebrity brands, you start bringing in the celebrity brands, they start putting a lot of marketing dollars that weren't always there behind tequila.
Right.
You have all of these marketing dollars. And when you start breaking apart like the nuances of tequila, the different way that that the agave takes a minimum of 3 to 4 years to grow before you can even make tequila from it. There's just beautiful stories behind that really start to, it can bring in that side of like, when I'm drinking a white spirit, I'm more inclined to grab a tequila over pouring a vodka just because I like the nuances of different brands. Like if I know the different good brands of good tequila, there's a lot of different nuances. And then when you start getting into, even some of the, more of the mezcals, you can get into some of the fat washed mezcals like Pachugas and Sacrificio, and where they're cooked with meat, where they have some of that like fatty acids and all. It's crazy.
But talk dirty to me.
There's a lot of so it's actually really cool. So like the way that they cook Sacrificio, which is cooked with red meat, usually lamb or goat, or like Pachuga, they actually cook the meat inside the still, and then the distiller, once they finish distilling, they pull the meat out and eat the meal. So it's actually a distiller's meal, and so it's a really fascinating. There's a similar thing down in the bayou. We call it a recolte, which is you are making hooch and you cook your entire meal in the still while you're distilling. And then when you pull out the meat, it's kind of like a roast with, and it gives a really interesting flavor to like, the alcohol. But, so I don't know. I think that there's two sides to it. I think you have some of these drinks that are like increasing in popularity or continuing to grow. But then you also have some really interesting marketing dollars that are going into it that are kind of bringing to light the stories behind it, which always helps with, spirits growing. And because it's like, you think about what we've seen with whiskey when we've seen celebrities come into it. Whiskey's growing in popularity. Look at how many brands are on the shelves now. And I think the same thing's kind of happening in tequila. The difference is you have good white. So it's like all of the brands are combined together into tequila. So you have aged and unaged. Whereas with bourbon, you're not going to get white dog whiskeys.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So I think it's like you have a larger sample size that are going to contribute to the greater numbers. So, yeah.
I don't know if you're right, but it sounded provocative, and I'm in.
Yeah. He uses a bunch of words we haven't heard before, sacrificio and all this shit. It's all made up. We'll fact check them later, and none of it's even true. But
don't worry, Tim, I'm sure Tim will fact check me and then get you a report later on that. So
60% of the time, he's right all the time.
Yes, yeah, for sure. It was like when Darren told me that limousine rye was aged in limousine oak, which is grown in northern Ohio in the shop, and I started
famously northern Ohio.
Oh, northern Ohio. So he's a forestry major. And he just graduated. He's only 23. I thought, well, clearly he's right. So I start telling people that. He comes in the next week. He's like, oh, I was way wrong. That's a French oak. I fucked up there. So don't tell anybody that. I'm like, I already told like 30 people that bought bottles. We're now telling their friends, hey, this is the northern Ohio, this oak. Oh, it's horrible. It's embarrassing. Yeah.
I only told Steve. Steve only told Jim. And it's like, well, I told 30 people.
Exactly. Yeah, he comes in a week later. I would have never told me. I would just let me live in bliss of this great northern Ohio oak known as limousine. Yeah. But, yeah.
Until all of that disappears because everybody believes it's grown in Northern Ohio. It's like Weller or Pappy Van Winkle. And they're like, this start. And it's like this little tiny shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
where
hilarious.
it's going. Yeah.
Known
So-
for Northern Ohio, known for their roller coasters and limousine trees.
Yes, exactly. So there you go. I don't know. It's definitely probably a combination of things. I don't know whether it's going to be on top for a while. Sometimes, things bounce back and forth. It can be kind of seasonal, but for right now, when you look at the government numbers, the rankings have vodka number 1, tequila number 2, and whiskey number 3. So we'll see. Hopefully, whiskey can make a return to prominence and grab that number 2 spot. And maybe one day it'll knock vodka off and just be the king of American spirits. But it is not that right now. So there you go. Well, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Evan, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Wit Wisdom Whiskey, or you can find me at the ABV Network's Crew Club hosting virtual game nights. Come and join us.
Demetri, how about you?
You can find me at Demetri_Kane on Instagram and Facebook, or Nobletons on Instagram and Facebook.
Lori.
Y'all can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Spirited Curves.
McNew.
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got the company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. And please, if you like what we're doing, head over to St. Louis and see us at the ABV Barrel Shop. We would love to show you what we got going on. You can taste the whiskey before you buy it, which is pretty cool. So check us out, abvbarrelshop.com. Sign up for our email distribution list. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Farnets, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.